Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Messi gets a free kick out of Hong Kong, 2. Singapore citizen accused of foreign interference linked to China Copper King. Café de Coral's first female CEO lays out vision for Hong Kong restaurant group. China small cap stocks slump despite pledge to stabilize markets. Lionel Messi and David Beckham booed after Argentine star sits out Hong Kong friendly. Messi gets a free kick out of Hong Kong, 2. Bloomberg. Argentinian soccer player Lionel Messi disappointed fans in Hong Kong by not playing in a friendly match between Inter Miami and a local team. Fans had paid up to 4,880 Hong Kong dollars, $624, for tickets and demanded refunds, while the government threatened to deduct its sponsorship of the event. It was revealed that Inter Miami had an escape clause in its agreement that stated Messi had to play for at least 45 minutes unless he was injured. The incident highlights the need for attendees to carefully read the fine print when attending major sports events. Singapore citizen accused of foreign interference linked to China Copper King. Bloomberg. Philip Chan Man Ping, the first Singapore citizen to be tagged as a politically significant person under a 2021 law on foreign interference, oversees the multi-million-dollar property portfolio of Chinese metal billionaire Wang Wenin. The Singapore Home Affairs Ministry invoked the foreign interference law against Chan, who manages the real estate investment arm of a copper conglomerate owned by Wang. The ministry said Chan has shown susceptibility to be influenced by foreign actors and willingness to advance their interests, and his activities were directed towards a political end in Singapore. The ministry did not specify any country or mention Wang in its statement. Chan is the managing director of Wenwei Investments, the Singapore-based property unit of Amer International Group, a Shenzhen-based mining, processing and trading firm. Wang is ranked as China's 35th richest man on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, with a $6.6 billion fortune dominated by Amer. Café de Coral's first female CEO lays out vision for Hong Kong restaurant group. South China Morning Post. Café de Coral, Hong Kong's leading restaurant group, is seeking to establish itself as the people's canteen for residents in the Greater Bay Area and restore profits to a record-breaking level of over 590 million Hong Kong dollars, $75 million, within 2 years, according to its incoming CEO, Piani Leung Ho Ting. Leung plans to increase the number of outlets in mainland China by 2/3 to 280 in about 3 years, with an annual investment of over 100 million Hong Kong dollars and additional challenges due to Hong Kongers heading north for leisure and an industry-wide labor crunch. China small-cap stocks slump despite pledge to stabilize markets. Bloomberg. Chinese stocks fell on Monday, adding to last week's rout, as investors assessed the latest pledge by policymakers to stabilize the slumping market. The CSI 1000 index was down more than 7%, while the CSI 300 benchmark slid as much as 1.4% following its worst week since 2022. The Hang Seng China Enterprises Index lost more than 1% before trimming its decline. China pledged to stabilize markets after shares sank to a fresh 5-year low in chaotic trading on Friday, but policymakers offered no specifics on how they plan to end the rout. Lu Yuwei, an academic at a government think tank, was cited by a report as saying that the nation should set up a stock stabilization fund as soon as possible to boost market confidence, with an aim to get its size to 10 trillion Chinese yuan $1.4 trillion, or more. Lionel Messi and David Beckham booed after Argentine star sits out Hong Kong friendly. Japan Times. Lionel Messi and David Beckham faced backlash from angry fans in Hong Kong after Messi did not play in a preseason friendly match. Fans booed the two and demanded refunds, and the city government stated that organizers owed fans an explanation. Messi was benched due to a hamstring strain. Australia appalled at China's suspended death sentence for writer Yang Hengjuan. The Toronto Star. Australia has expressed its dismay at China's decision to impose a suspended death sentence on writer and democracy blogger Yang Hengjuan. Yang has been detained in China since January 2019 on charges of espionage. The Chinese court has not yet announced the sentence, but suspended sentences in China are typically commuted to life sentences after a certain period of time. Yang, who is an Australian citizen, had previously expressed concerns about his health while in detention. Australia's Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, stated that the country will be communicating its response in the strongest terms and will continue to advocate for Yang's interests and well-being. China can now monitor state-funded projects 24/7. BBC. Chinese property developers that have received at least 30 million Chinese yuan, $4.2 million, of government funding must install monitoring equipment at their projects. The move is part of China's efforts to support its crisis-hit property industry and ensure funds for struggling developers are used correctly. Security devices such as surveillance cameras, drones, or satellite equipment must be used to monitor projects if conditions allow, according to the National Development and Reform Commission. The property sector accounts for 25% of China's economy. Angry at Messi? There's a more important game on Wednesday, Hong Kong coach says. South China Morning Post. Fans who attended an exhibition match between a Hong Kong 11 and Inter Miami on Sunday were left disappointed when Lionel Messi did not play. The game was won 4-1 by Inter Miami, who did not inform spectators that Messi had been ruled out due to a hamstring injury. Hong Kong national team coach Jorn Anderson focused on his team's performance rather than the absence of Messi. He also made 10 changes at halftime to give all of his players a chance against Inter Miami. Anderson hopes that Hong Kong can reach the same international level as their opponents. Yum China, Haida Leo are top picks at Morningstar, Essence on consumption play. South China Morning Post. Shares in Yum China Holdings and Haida Leo International have fallen by 23% and 35% respectively over the past year, leading some analysts to consider them undervalued investment opportunities. Both companies are expected to gain market share as the Chinese economy recovers. Analysts argue that China's largest restaurant chains will benefit from a rebound in consumer spending. China's small exporters threatened amid price wars and low demand. Japan Times. Chris Lin, the owner of a lighting factory in China, faced a difficult decision when he received his first order of the year from an overseas client. He had to choose between taking the order at a loss or telling his workers not to come back after the Lunar New Year holiday. Lin ultimately decided to take the order to avoid losing the client and potentially endangering the livelihoods of his workers. He plans to restart his factory at around half its capacity after the holiday break. Messi no-show for Inter Miami friendly draws boos from sold-out crowd, condemnation from Hong Kong government. Yahoo! Hong Kong fans have expressed their disappointment after star footballers Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez did not play in a friendly between Inter Miami and Hong Kong 11. The crowd of around 40,000 fans at Hong Kong Stadium booed and chanted "Refund, refund, refund" after Messi and Suarez appeared only on the sideline. The no-show has prompted condemnation and a call from Hong Kong's Major Sports Events Committee, MSEC, for reduced funding of organizers. Treasury sell-off hits Asia on paired rate bets, markets wrap. Bloomberg. Asian government bonds, particularly in Australia and New Zealand, fell on Monday following heavy selling in U.S. Treasuries on Friday. The 10-year Australian and New Zealand yields rose by around 10 basis points in early trading. The sell-off in Treasuries was triggered by a strong U.S. non-farm payroll report that showed companies boosted payrolls in January by the most in a year, reducing the likelihood of an imminent rate cut by the Federal Reserve. The dollar strengthened against major currencies, while Australian shares and Hong Kong futures fell. Corporate control is a 200-year-old problem in India. Bloomberg. India's corporate governance system has historically been influenced by managing agencies, a system that separated control from ownership and allowed agencies to run companies on behalf of wealthy owners. Although managing agencies were outlawed in 1970, the vestiges of the old system continue to exist in the form of company promoters. Promoters, typically company founders, exercise control over the company and are often named in annual returns. They are required to hold at least 20% of the post-public issue capital and often continue to exert influence over the company long after the lock-in period ends. This concentration of power in the hands of promoters can lead to abuses, such as siphoning off funds or mismanaging the company. To address this issue, some legal scholars have suggested outsourcing governance to board service providers, allowing promoters to manage the company while independent external entities oversee governance. This could provide a more balanced approach and protect minority shareholders. The alignment of promoters with political leaders, such as Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has also raised concerns about the influence of promoters in the Indian corporate landscape. Analysis: China's tumbling prices push some exporters to the brink. Yahoo! The deflation threat to China's manufacturing industry is putting the survival of smaller Chinese exporters at risk. China's producer prices have been falling for 15 months, making it increasingly difficult for smaller companies to compete with bigger rivals. Companies are cutting product prices, which in turn affects staff salaries, leading to consumers buying less and thus completing a vicious cycle. Deflation in manufacturing is a higher policy priority than reaching the expected growth target of around 5% for this year, says Raymond Young, chief China economist at ANZ. Well, folks, what a wild mix of news we have today. From disappointed soccer fans in Hong Kong to suspended death sentences in China, and even a call for outsourced governance in India, there's no shortage of interesting stories to discuss. First off, let's talk about Lionel Messi. The soccer superstar disappointed fans in Hong Kong by not playing in a friendly match. Fans were so upset that they demanded refunds, and the government threatened to deduct its sponsorship of the event. Lesson learned here: always read the fine print when attending major sports events. You never know what escape clauses might be lurking. Moving on to Singapore, we have a citizen accused of foreign interference who was linked to a Chinese billionaire. It seems like something out of a spy novel, doesn't it? This story highlights the growing concerns around foreign interference in politics and the need for governments to take action. It's a reminder that we should always be vigilant and question the motivations behind certain actions. Next up, we have Café de Coral's new CEO laying out her vision for the Hong Kong restaurant group. She wants to establish it as the people's canteen and restore profits to record-breaking levels. It's an ambitious goal, but one that could pay off if executed well. With the increasing number of Hong Kongers heading north for leisure and a labor crunch in the industry, it will be interesting to see how this plan unfolds. And let's not forget about the slumping Chinese stock market. Despite policymakers pledging to stabilize the market, stocks fell again, adding to last week's rout. It's a reminder that even the best-laid plans can go awry. Maybe they should take a page out of Café de Coral's book and establish themselves as the people's stock market. Who knows, it might just work. Finally, we have Australia expressing its dismay at China's decision to impose a suspended death sentence on a writer and blogger. It's a reminder of the tensions between the two countries and the importance of advocating for human rights. Let's hope that Australia's strong response leads to a more favorable outcome for the writer. Well, that's all the news for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of the headlines. Now it's your turn to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any burning questions? Let's hear it. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. we encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.